All right, here we go. We're back.
Hello.
First stream in the new house. We're very excited to get to open cards again and get the chance to play some games on here. Probably won't be doing a ton today. It's been a busy few weeks, as you might imagine. But we're gonna open up some packs from. We've got some packs from some Paldea Evolved Building Battles that we hadn't opened yet. So it'd be really cool to find another Chen Pao or something. And then we've got a couple Obsidian Flames Building Battle boxes. So we actually got a sealed case from Paladin Cards, one of our favorite stores. We're super excited about that, but we're saving the rest of the building battles because we're going to do an at-home pre-release style tournament with some other friends that we know who play. So we're super excited about that. That will not be streamed, but we'll definitely post some pictures and things. But we're going to go ahead and open up these. Now, I got the chance to play in an Obsidian Frames pre-release. Katie did not because she was watching the boys so that I could go. Thank you, dear. But we'll take a look at these. We're not going to open the actual pre-made decks in here. We'll save them for our boys because we're going to get a bunch of those cards in addition to the ones that I already have when we do the at-home tournament. But we'll take a peek at them, take a look at the promos that are in there, and then we'll open up the packs from these as well. Okay? Okay, so right off the bat, I did get the Toga Kiss, which is a very intriguing card. One that I think has some interesting potential especially in a deck where if you're already playing Rare Candy, you can set up this. What did you get?
I got Mawile.
Oh, the Mawile. Unfortunately, that Mawile is like totally useless in the actual pre-release tournament. It has interesting utility outside of that. Depending on the situation, it's probably not worth a bench spot. So you play it to your bench, and when you do that, you get to discard one special energy from one of your opponent's Pokemon.
From your opponent's active Pokemon.
Only the active Pokemon. Gee, that's even worse.
Yeah. It sounds really cool, but I don't know how robust it will be.
Yeah. If it was like once during your turn, you may discard a special energy from active or any. Would be powerful enough probably to warrant a slot, but otherwise probably not. But this Togekiss is really cool. Precious Gift. Once at the end of your turn, you may use this ability, draw cards until you have 8 cards in your hand. So similar to Radiant Venusaur, but obviously this being a stage 2, it's much more powerful. And if you're playing a deck where you're already playing Rare Candy because you've got maybe Pidgeot EX or Excalibur, other cards that you want to set up, this could definitely be something you could slot in a 2-2 or 2-0-2 or a 1-0-1 line in. And just, if it works out, you can Rare Candy into the Togekiss, and then you've got access to that Precious Gift ability. What's cool about it, I mean, its attack isn't awful. 110, move an energy from this Pokemon to one of your bench Pokemon. I could see that being used like in a Excalibur or something. It takes 2 colorless, so something where you can accelerate to it. And then because its retreat cost is free, that's really nice. So if you do have to, basically every time something gets knocked out, you can always advance this and then potentially retreat it. Depending on how the turn plays out. Especially because you will advance before you will draw off of Precious Gift. So you can advance, draw, and see what you get. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
What pre-release promos did we get for Paldea? Murkrow and Tinkaton. The Tinkaton is fun. During your turn, you may discard a card from your hand. Right now I'm looking for pieces that I can use with my Regidrago. And maybe Tinkaton is one that I could use just as a draw, because you have to be able to discard those other dragon Pokemon. I'm also debating using a Professor Burnett in there too, depending on it's hard because sometimes sets up just right, and you you get to research away your 3 main attackers and stuff. I was going to look at this just briefly. Do you want to go ahead and start opening this? Thank you, dear. Alright, so obviously the big ticket things in Obsidian Flames is Charizard EX, which I think everybody knows by now. If you don't, it's very powerful. Because it's Dark type, so it hits Gardevoir EX and Mew VMAX for weakness. It does more damage for the number of prize cards your opponent has taken, so 30 more. So once you've taken 5, it does a base of 180, which is very respectable, and then 30 per, so up to 5, so 150, so you're potentially hitting up to 283, 320, no, 330.
Don't ask me to math today.
Yeah, 30 more. The most prize cards your opponent can take before you lose is 5. 5 times 3 is 150. 180 plus 150 is 330. So 330, you're able to one-shot anything, pretty much anything in the game at that point. It's weak against grass, which is very interesting, so people are starting to slot in different grass-type Pokemon. But the really cool thing about Charizard EX is that when you play it from your hand, you get to accelerate 3 fire energy from your deck to your Pokemon in any way you like. So that obviously makes it incredibly, incredibly powerful. Thank you, dear. So you're fine. And lets your board state go from essentially nothing to having 1 or 2 fully powered attackers in a single turn. It's weak against Path to the Peak, so decks that play Charizard EX have to have different path counters, but a lot of people have been playing Arceus and Pidgeot EX and Charizard EX, and the Pidgeot and the Arceus aren't even there to attack, they're just there to help you set up the Charizard. And if you can't path them, they can sometimes just 3 turns in a row, just boss KO, boss KO, boss KO, or KO, boss KO, boss KO, and then they win. Tyranitar EX is not one that I've played against or with very much, but some people have hyped it up a lot. It's interesting because it's a lightning type but uses fighting energy, just like Charizard is a darkness type but uses dark energy, playing off that terastallization feature from Paldea, from the newest generation, Scarlet and Violet. And it's similar to the old Delta Species cards, where they were different types. This is just the set list. There are a ton of cards in this set. 230 cards in this set. And the last many of them are like secret rares and stuff. Yeah. Of course, they're not secret because they're right here on this
but they're hard
sheet.
To get.
But yes, they're hard to find. So we will see what we get. So obviously, big ticket things from we'll put Paldea on top of Obsidian Flames.
I wasn't sure how you wanted to do that.
Hold off the suspense for a little bit longer. Lots of good things in Paldea Evolved. Iono would be super cool to find.
Yeah.
Like I said, another Chen Pao EX would be super cool, because then I feel like we would have enough to build a Chen Pao Palkia deck. And then Obsidian Flames, the big things right now would probably be the Charizard or Pidgeot EX, which we actually pulled just the other day from some of my coworkers. Got me 2 packs as a thank you, and we pulled Pidgeot EX from one of those 2 packs, so I was super pumped about that. Alright, you ready?
Yep.
Alright, let's do it.
Okay. Where are we putting energy?
Wherever. It doesn't matter. We can just make like an energy pile here.
Yeah, we can put it like off the
map. It can be off camera. And we can just make one, since we're not going to battle against each other this time, we'll just make one pile for types, because then we're going to have to do that, sort it all out anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, lightning energy.
Hariyama?
I say Hariyama. I would have to look it up for sure.
So this one has an ability, Arm Thrust Practice. All your Pokemon take 10 less damage from attacks from your opponent's Pokemon. And then Rocket Slap does 120 damage. That's pretty straightforward there.
Okay. Oh, Abomasnow.
Okay.
So this is a very, very good card in raid battling because its ability prevents Pokemon from being healed.
Right.
And so you can prevent the raid boss from healing at all.
Yeah. Bravery Charm.
Bravery Charm is good. Okay, so tools pile. Here. I have a Gothita. Q-Fant. We'll have to make sure we separate the metal and the normal and the colorless piles.
Yeah. Let's put metal over here.
Okay.
And colorless over there.
All right. I have a Rockruff.
Okay. Corviknight. Nice.
Oh, I also have a Corviknight. If your opponent's Pokemon is knocked out by damage from this attack during your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage from and effects of attacks done to this Pokemon. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Go ahead. Titan. And that's a very good one in GLC. It's very powerful. We can move these up a little bit.
Yeah. Since we are only doing one pile
each. Yeah. Or one pile total.
Yeah.
Passimian.
This table's a little noisy, sorry. Mousehold.
Yep.
Put colorless over there.
Somewhere here. We'll put metal here and we'll put colorless over here.
Okay.
And maybe we'll remember.
Maybe.
Oh, Dunsparce. So this one I think is fun. One of these days I'm going to attack with it in Lugia. Because Lugia has the ability to accelerate enough energy with it to attack, and Lugia also has an incentive to play Dunsparce to take away its own weakness.
Right.
Especially colorless Lugia, where all of your Pokemon are colorless.
Right. Tinkatank? Tinkatink. Sorry.
Tinkatink, yep. So Tinkaton is the stage 2.
Right.
Tinkatink is the basic. Knackley. So this is a Salt Pokemon, and they just made a Knackley Salt Shaker.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
Pineco,
good. And that evolves into Forretress EX, which is hard to set up now because so many people can attack your bench early, but ideally you put Pineco out turn 1, and on your second turn you evolve to Forretress EX. Do its explosion attack or ability, accelerate 5 grass energy to your Pokemon in any way you like, and then your opponent takes 2 prizes, but ideally you then Iono them down to 4. Dunsparce to go with the Dunsparce.
There we go. Wingull.
Okay, our first supporter, Clavel. Search your deck for up to 3 basic Pokemon with 120 HP or less, reveal them, and put them into your hand. Then shuffle your deck.
Okay. Meryl.
Voltorb. New pile.
Basic energy.
Alright, basic water.
Mimikyu.
Oh, yes. Good.
Okay, so it has the ability Safeguard. Prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon EX and Pokemon V.
Yeah.
And then Ghost Eye, put 7 damage counters on your opponent's active Pokemon.
So, I mean, honestly, some decks just straight up lose to that card.
Yeah.
But there are also very popular decks like Lost. You know what? We should actually set aside like particularly useful cards. We can make that pile over here. That's not going to be useful for, and the Hariyamas. Okay. So we'll set Mimikyu. I definitely want. I think I actually just bought one the other day, but having a playset would be nice.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about using this. It's some combination of this plus an upcoming fossil card that gives Stadium Lock plus Klefki, which blocks all abilities for basics. To be my active Pokemon while I'm attacking with Alakazam EX from the bench. So normally, like this card, Again, some decks just straight up lose to this because
Mm-hmm.
they have no attackers that are not EXs or Vs.
Right.
Or they end up. I actually did this the other day. I won a game because I attacked with B-Barrel, which is flip a
Nice.
coin. If Tails' attack does nothing, it does like 100 damage or something.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. I was down to my last prize. They put out this. I had no other attackers, so I had to put energy on B-Barrel and attack with it. So that's not what you want to be doing.
No.
But it's
Your
my
turn.
turn.
Yeah.
Wigglytuff. Once during your turn, you may attach a therapeutic energy card from your hand to one of your Pokemon. This has potential, but it just hasn't played out quite yet.
Okay.
I think the Wigglytuff EX, which I don't remember if it's in Paldea or if it's in the upcoming 151, but I want to say it can bring therapeutic energy back from your discard pile. So in theory, you can accelerate. Of course, therapeutic energy only provides colorless.
Right.
But in theory, you can accelerate a bunch every turn to attackers that only need colorless energy, but
right.
It hasn't panned out yet.
Yeah. Another Hariyama.
Nice. First stadium card, Calamitous Wasteland. The retreat cost of each basic non-fighting Pokemon in play, both yours and your opponent, is one more.
Pyroar. So it has Singe. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now burned. And then Overrun does 60 damage. This attack also does 20 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon.
Nice. You can start a fire pile, right? Yes! Jet Energy. Very good.
Nice.
It only provides colorless, but when you attach it, you get to move that Pokemon into the active spot.
Oh, nice.
You actually have to, so it's not optional.
It's not optional.
When you attach, switch that Pokemon. You can, of course, attach it to your active, and then nothing would happen. But this is very useful in Lugia. It gives Lugia another colorless energy that it can accelerate, and it also gives Lugia switching cards, which historically Lugia has not had. It's also very good in Lost Box because you can use a Comfey, attach this to another Comfey, use that one, and then retreat to your third one.
Okay.
So, very, very good card. I was hoping to get more of those. Good.
Awesome. I don't know how to
Palmo?
Palmo? Okay.
There's Palmy, Palmo, and Palmot. Dunsparce. Oh, I didn't say what Dig Away Flash does. So it does 100 damage. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. Shuffle this Pokemon and all cards attached to it into your deck.
Okay.
So what's cool about that in Lugia is you paralyze your opponent's Pokemon, which hopefully makes them essentially miss a turn.
Right.
But then you can also potentially refind Dunsparce, put it back down, and you can re-accelerate those energy with your Archeops.
Right.
Mousehold. Good. Gnaw relentlessly. Put 1 damage counter on each of your opponent's Pokemon for each of your Mousehold in play.
That could be fun.
It's very interesting. You would almost want to play that with Zoroark, so that you could have ideally 4 Mousehold and some Tandemouse in play, so that then you can reshuffle and just keep. You want to obviously try to keep 3 or 4 in play all the time. It's just tough with 3 colorless energy.
Yeah.
How are you gonna accelerate every time? You could use reversal. Come on,
I'm so sorry.
Get it together. No, it's okay. I love you. I know we're both tired.
It's been a lot.
Reversal energy would be a way that you can do that, but you can only do that 4 times. So, Lost Box is obviously susceptible to, because it routinely has several low HP, like 70 HP, Comfey out. But the question is, how are you gonna take home? How are you gonna win?
Right.
I guess you could, if it's a Zoro box, you could try to use that Slowbro that if you only have one, if your opponent has exactly one prize left, you win, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you have one prize left, you win, something along those lines.
Yeah, it's a crazy card that almost never.
Yeah.
It would be really hard to put it into play at the right time.
Yeah. With Zoroark, you potentially can, and if you only have single prizers, then your opponent will always get to the point where they have only one prize left, unless they can take multiple prize turns with something like Greninja. Okay, whose turn is it? Mine? Oh! Faulkner. Draw 2 cards. If you have a stadium in play, draw 2 cards. Draw 2 more cards.
Draw 2 more cards.
Yeah.
That makes
sense.
Draw 2. Okay.
Draw 2 or draw 2.
Or draw 2. Alright. Florigato.
Okay, that is the stage 1 of the grass starter. Yep. Mm-hmm. Another Satitan.
Delibird.
Fuecoco.
Hey.
Still got space for darkness. Are we missing any other types? I don't think so.
Mankey.
Nice. I'm psyching myself out. How many types are there? Oh, Dragon.
Right.
Wattrell, the wrong one. Devastating Wind. Your opponent shuffles their hand into their deck and draws 4 cards.
Is it the wrong one, though?
It is the wrong one for United Wings, but it is an interesting card.
Meryl.
Slackoth. Yawn. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now asleep.
Pineco.
Pikachu.
Hey.
During your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon's attacks do 20 less damage.
Basic water.
They just revealed a Krabby that has an attack. It's like accelerates 2 water energy to itself, and I'm like, oh yeah, 70 HP Krabby's definitely surviving to the next turn to use those water energy for sure. Should have drank a coffee.
Should have had another cup of coffee.
I offered to let her open off. Like, we don't have to stream. And she was like, no, let's do it. It'll be fun.
I'm sorry.
I love you. You're fine.
Baxcalibur.
Hey, Baxcalibur. Obviously super powerful because it can accelerate water energy from your hand to any of your Pokemon.
Yeah, to one of your Pokemon.
They don't have to be water type. They don't have to be on the bench. They don't have to be in the active spot. None of those restrictions.
Yeah, it's as often as you like.
And because it's a water type, it pairs super well with Irida, which is what everybody's doing right now, because they can just Irida for the Baxcalibur and the rare candy, or if you already have one of the 2 pieces, you just search out the other one, and then you can constantly keep a Baxcalibur, or you can set up the Baxcalibur really easily. Yes! I love this Luxray so much.
Yeah.
I think we have a bunch of them.
I think we have a bunch of them,
but I don't care because it's so cool. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon is in your hand and you have more prize cards remaining than your opponent, you can put this Pokemon straight onto the bench. Of course, it pairs super well with Reversal Energy, giving you a single prizer that can swing for 180. And in certain matchups, you're hitting for weakness, so you could potentially take out a 3-prize Inteleon VMAX, or you can take out Lugia, a 2-prize Lugia, some things like that. So, I love that Luxray. Potentially useful. These are the most useful cards we've found so far.
Paldea and Tauros.
Oh, nice. And there's 3 different types for Paldea and Tauros.
There's fire, there's water. What's the other one?
There's fighting.
Okay.
Here's our first darkness card, Dino, which is also a dragon.
Great Ball.
Yay. But our first item. So that's
first
cool.
item.
Okay, Pincurchin. 3 lightning, 70 damage. It is a Yuka Morii card, which is always cool.
Yes.
Discard an energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. Some decks do not do well with that.
Yeah.
Mew, for example.
If you don't have any energy recovery.
Yeah, Mew cannot handle
stuck.
energy. And of course, that's why it's good to have a mixture of decks. Like, if every major deck used only special energy like Mew does, then everyone would just play Giacomo, which is a supporter that's discard a special energy from each of your opponent's Pokemon.
Right.
But you can't routinely put that into all of your decks because you're going to run into whole decks that don't use any special energy or use very little, and then it's not helpful.
Right, because then you've wasted a deckless spot.
Yeah, exactly.
Spylos.
But, I mean, that's always the thing with tech cards is sometimes they're going to be useful and sometimes they're not. Volkner.
Pincurchin.
A different one? A different Pincurchin. Not Yuka. You could... hang on. Stun Needle, 20 damage. Flip a coin. If heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. Follow-up Kurzap. You can use this attack only if this Pokemon used Stun Needle during your last turn. That's rough. It's not even if one of your Pokemon.
Yes,
so, like, you can't use this Pincurchin and then bring up another one and use follow-up Kurzap. So, that's kind of rough. But potentially useful in GLC, I suppose. My turn? Yeah. Another Satitan. Also very good. I think I already mentioned it's good in GLC. It is fun.
Giraffarai. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Graphii. Like graffiti.
Yep. Oof. That was a rough one.
Colorful Graffiti. You may discard as many basic energy cards as you like from your hand. This attack does 40 damage for each type of basic energy you discarded in this way. Oh, I also have a Graphii.
Well, would you look at that? Gothita.
Nice. Fletchling will go with Corviknight.
Fletchling goes with Corviknight?
Wait.
No, it doesn't.
Rookity goes with Corviknight.
I was like, what?
I'm thinking because Fletchling evolves into Talonflame, which is often fire type.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, oh, this is one of those colorless ones that changes type, but doesn't change that type. You're right.
No.
Yes. Rookity.
Sneasel.
Snover.
Misdreavus. Hypnoblast. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now asleep, and it does 10 damage.
There is the Altaria from Obsidian Flames. It does 110, and your opponent's active Pokemon is now asleep, and they have to flip 2 coins, 2 heads for it to wake up.
Nice.
So some people are slotting that into Regidrago, and I've been playing around with it in order to, depending on the deck you're going against, if they don't have switch cards or they don't have any left, you can just put them to sleep, and you have a pretty good chance of them not hitting you again. Love Disc, matching, search your deck for up to 2 supporter cards, reveal them and put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck.
Murkrow.
Pretty hard to think that you're going to... United Wings Murkrow. Pretty hard to think that you're going to get to keep those cards with the amount of Judge and Iona that are out there. Super Rod, yes! Super, super good card. 3 in any combination of Pokemon and basic energy cards from the discard pile into the deck.
Yeah. Basic Psychic Energy.
Basic Fire Energy.
Sableye.
The other
one.
Garganical.
Oh.
Blessed Salt. During Pokemon checkup, heal 20 damage from each of your Pokemon. Fuecoco. Luminous Energy. Yes, also very interesting and good. And They made it so that luminous energy is not like rainbow energy, and it's not like aurora energy that we just had. Oh man, aurora energy would be so good in Regidrago, because when you attach it, you get to discard a card from your hand, which in Regidrago is helpful. But luminous energy is rainbow energy until they have any other special energy attached. So they made it so that you can't use it with Lugia to basically power up anything, because people were using Aurora energy in Lugia to power up like the amazing rares and stuff.
Yeah.
So luminous energy shuts off and it becomes only single colorless the moment you attach another another special energy of any kind.
Nice. Luxray.
Yes! Luxray. Boom, baby. Okay, Dendra. Put a card from your hand on the bottom of your deck. If you do, draw until you have 5 cards in your hand. If you have no other cards in your hand, you can't use this card. So not something consistently useful unless you had some kind of effect that was like, look at the bottom 3 cards of your deck, you may attach any energy cards you find there. You know, if there's some ability like that that comes out, Dendra could become very useful.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, it's your turn.
Pyroar.
Grafify.
Spidops.
Nice. Crocolore. Trying to eat an Oranberry.
Yes. Xylos.
Pincurchin.
Wingull.
There's Rookity.
He goes here.
Yep.
Sorry.
Nope, you're good.
Mastiff.
I think so.
Oh, sorry, that probably was crazy.
It's like mischief.
Right. But he's a
Mastiff. He's a mischievous mastiff. Shinx. Gothita. Nimble. The grasshopper Pokemon.
Sneasel.
Knackley. A different Knackley. I think. Pretty sure that's a different one than we had before.
Psychic Energy.
Alright.
Toxtricity.
Okay, so now we're into Obsidian Flames, and this Toxtricity is a very good card in the pre-release because of Loud Mix.
Okay. So Loud Mix is 50+. This attack does 30 more damage for each different type of Pokemon on your bench.
That's very easy to do, and it doesn't take many types before you're one-shotting everything else that you might go up against. So it's not actually useful, but it's very good in the pre-release.
Right.
Okay, Thundurus. This is... it's an interesting card. Its ability is Bench Barrier while it's in the active spot, but it doesn't even have Free Retreat. Its attack does 140 for 2 lightning, and it does 90 to itself, so it's just hard to imagine thinking that that's useful enough to slot into a deck.
Yeah. Lampent. Alluring Fireball. Switch in one of your opponent's bench Pokemon to the active spot. This attack does 30 damage to the new active Pokemon.
Nice. Fun. Okay, Lapras. Hail. This attack does 10 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon. Now, interestingly, it takes 2 colorless, and if you were to attach a double turbo, it would do nothing, because double turbo reduces the damage by 20, and it's not placing counters, it is dealing damage. So you can't, there's not an easy way to use that to spread damage around.
Surskit. I wanted to say Sunskit, and that wasn't right.
Here's that Altaria. So, Soothing Lullaby 110, your opponent's active Pokemon is now asleep. During Pokemon Checkup, your opponent flips 2 coins instead of 1. If either of them is tails, that Pokemon is still asleep. So you have a 25% chance to wake up rather than the usual 50%. So that's our first dragon type.
Yes.
It is useful, although I already have a copy to play around with in Regidrago. So I'm just still trying to decide on my Regidrago build.
Yeah. Excadrill.
Excadrill. Yep. Pupitar. Blasting Tackle. 60 damage. This attack also does 20 damage to one of your benched Pokemon. Now, interestingly, the good Bidoof from Crown Zenith, its ability is called Carefree something, I think. And it, if I recall correctly, the wording is, while this Pokemon is on the bench, it cannot prevent all damage from attacks from Pokemon, both yours and your opponent's. So if you use something like Blasting Tackle, or some people will attack with like the Drapion V, and if they do that, they can actually choose the Bidoof, and then the ability blocks the damage. So then you don't have to put the damage anywhere.
Nice. Charmeleon.
Charmeleon, nice. You need at least one of those in your Charizard EX deck, just in case you whiff on all of your rare candy. Gumshoos. Crunch, discard an energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. That is the wrong pile. See, that's why we have to do that.
Beartic.
That is
Beartic.
Beartic. Bear. I think it is Beartic.
Okay.
Beartic.
And yes, I realized that was the wrong pile.
That's good, because those are totally different colors. Unlike the one that I did. Oh, Masquerain. Panic Prompting Pattern. Flip a coin until you get tails. For each heads, discard a random card from your opponent's hand. Oh man. Oh, can you imagine? Can you imagine getting to discard every card from your opponent's hand?
Bronzor.
What does Mirror draw?
Draw cards until you have the same number of cards in your hand as your opponent.
Nice. Togepi. Whining Voice. Choose a random card from your opponent's hand. Your opponent reveals that card and shuffles it into their deck.
Gloom. Inviting Scent. Switch in one of your opponent's bench Pokemon to the active spot.
Nice. Lechonk. Very straightforward, Lechonk. Honestly, I feel like you could potentially, since it only takes 2 energy, you could potentially make a deck around this Altaria and just farm those decks that don't have switch cards. But again, the problem is you're going to be dealing with Lost Box, which has a bunch of switch cards and has an easy way to shoot out your Swablu on the bench.
Yeah. Lampent.
Grievard.
Togepi. Same one.
Yep. Togedemaru. Defense Curl. Flip a coin. If heads during your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks. Now that's much better than the dumb, like, Growl that does 20 less damage.
Yeah.
That's what you need. The Hisuian Growlithe has a very similar attack to that, and it doesn't even take any energy, if I recall correctly. Darkrai. What does he do?
Dark Slumber, 20 damage. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now asleep. Night Cyclone, 120 damage. Move all energy from this Pokemon to your bench Pokemon in any way you like.
It's not optional?
No.
Okay, Togekiss. There we go. Precious Gift. At the end of your turn, you can draw until you have 8 cards in your hand. It is a stage 2, but here we'll put at least one Togepi with it.
Yeah.
But it has very interesting potential, I think.
Audino. Okay. Find a friend, search your deck for Pokemon, reveal it, and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. And Slap is the other attack. Just 80 damage.
Nice. Pupitar.
Litwick.
Diglett, hole digging noggin. Wow, they're really getting having fun with these names. 30 damage. Discard the top card of your deck. Interesting. Hole digging noggin.
Granbull.
Wild Tackle 160.
Yeah, that's respectable.
Not easy to power, but Arboliva, Healing Fruit, heal all damage from one of your bench Pokemon. Oil Shot, 90 damage.
Paldean Clodsire. Okay. Poison Ring does 20 damage. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned. During your opponent's next turn, that Pokemon can't retreat. And then Muddy Hammer does 100 damage. Discard the top card of your opponent's deck.
Yep. There's a Paldean Clodsire EX that has the ability that as long as there's a stadium card in play, or maybe it's as long as you have a stadium in play, you can make your opponent's active Pokemon poisoned. So that's kind of cool, because you could potentially pair it with any... There's 2 attacks in Standard. One is the Claydol that I think is in this set, and the other is the Alolan Raticate from Pokemon Go that place counters until you get down to 10, and then if you can also poison at the same time, you get a one turn KO anything, which is cool. Okay, Seismitoad, Stage 2, Quaking Zone. As long as this Pokemon is in the active spot, attacks used by your opponent's active Pokemon cost 1 colorless more. That's very interesting. Unfortunately, as a Stage 2, it's going to be hard to set up, and it's not one that I would want to devote the space to with, like, Alakazam EX. But that's the kind of ability that is potentially really useful in Alakazam EX.
Yeah. Camerupt?
So that card is also potentially very useful in the pre-release. It's one of the attackers you might end up with. But it's so tricky because it's discard the top card of each player's deck. This attack does 100 more damage for each energy card discarded in this way. So potentially it only does 50, but potentially it does 250, and it's totally random.
Oh, man.
But I did have someone knock out one of my Pokemon by discarding their card was not an energy, but mine was. So then it was 150 knockout on like Toxtricity or something. It was terrible. Ooh, Amoonguss, Dangerous Spores. Flip a coin. If heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed and poisoned. Charmander, nice. Snubble, to go with our Granbull there.
Another Audino.
Bronzor. Mirror Draw.
Litwick.
Gloom.
Nose Pass.
Put up to 2 basic metal energy cards from your discard pile into your hand. That's an attack, though.
Yeah. Lightning Energy.
Alright. Lightning Energy.
Palafin.
So this is also a very good attacker in the pre-release. So the first attack does 30 damage to the active and 30 damage to one of the bench Pokemon. There are several baby Pokemon in this set that only have 30 HP, so if your opponent's not smart enough they have to have the baby in the active. If they leave it on the bench and you can Jet Punch it, it's done. Yeah, you get a free prize, plus you do 30 damage to the active. So that's really cool. There's no baby rule. But the other attack, if you can switch into the active spot, is the only time you can use it, but then it does 210. That's why people like having the babies, because the babies have free retreat. So you can potentially have the baby in the active, then retreat to that. Boom.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I would like to know how it can Justice Kick, though, when it clearly doesn't have feet.
Use your imagination, honey.
Gita. Okay, this is a potentially really interesting card depending on the deck. I'm thinking about trying to build a build of Regidrago that's basically quad Klefki plus Regidrago, where you ideally use this on turn, well, your first turn that you can play a supporter. You use this to accelerate 2 basic energy to Regidrago, because if you're not using Arceus, like, you have to have some way to accelerate. The other option would be to use quad Klefki plus Fortress EX. I'm just not sure with. You would have to put in Manaphy because there's just too many people that can Greninja turn 2.
Right.
But Gita is search your deck for up to 2 basic energy cards and attach them to one of your Pokemon. Okay, cool. But during this turn, your Pokemon can't attack, including Pokemon that come into play this turn.
Okay.
So you only want to be using this early, or when you've got some type of wall locked in place.
Ninetales.
Ooh, fancy Ninetales. What is Ninetale Dance?
Put 9 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. During your next turn, this Pokemon can't attack.
This Pokemon, the Ninetales.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
We could potentially give that to Timothy.
Yeah.
Alright, I have a Tynamo.
Electric.
Nice. Darmanitan. Damage Counterpunch. 60 damage. If this Pokemon has any damage counters on it, this attack does 60 more damage. Heat Blast, 140. Oh, do we not? Oh, I was like, Ninetales is throwing me off. Here, we'll put Ninetales over here as a fancy card.
Okay.
It is very pretty.
It is very pretty.
Very pretty. Oh, here, let's.
Yeah, I didn't show it very well. I'm sorry.
She's slacking.
I'm off my game today. Sorry.
Very pretty Ninetales.
Bronzong.
What does it do?
Oracle Press, 20 damage. During your opponent's next turn, prevent all effects of attacks used by your opponent's Pokemon done to this Pokemon. Damage is not in effect. And then Extra Sensory, 70 plus. If you have the same number of cards in your hand as your opponent, this attack does 90 more damage.
Okay. For a total of 160. Okay, here's that Lapras. The Hail.
Flamingo. It's like, it's scarily close to the actual word flamingo.
Synchronized Feathers, 60 damage. If Flamingo is on your bench, this attack also does 60 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. Umbreon, Faint Attack. This attack does 50 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. This attack's damage isn't affected by weakness or resistance or any effects on that Pokemon. Technically, that goes in colorless because it evolves from Eevee.
Right. Bellabolt.
Bellabolt, yeah.
Electro Bullet does 70 damage. This attack also does 30 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon.
Alright, we are just attacking the bench all day. All day. Floatzel. It does not attack the bench. Flip a coin if heads, put your opponent's active Pokemon and all attached cards into your opponent's hand.
That's fun.
Is fun.
Lechonk.
I wonder if it's still in Standard. There is a card that devolves your opponent's Pokemon. It's like a Bayonet or something. When you play it, to evolve, you get to devolve one of your opponent's Pokemon, and that would be so funny to use against a Charizard player. Because they can't just re-evolve it, they have to find Rare Candy again.
Yeah.
And potentially, if you've done enough damage, they get knocked out. I have to see if that's still in Standard. There are not many effects in the history of the game that allow you to devolve, but Mawile, Mischievous Crunch. This attack does 30 damage for each psychic energy attached to this Pokemon.
Rebar.
So I'm trying to think. 30 times. So if you have that in a reversal Guardy list, you're going to have like 6 or 7 psychic energy, so you could potentially get up to 210 with that. A traditional Guardy list has more like 10 or 11, so you could but hang on, you're dealing damage to yourself each time too, so you can't really attach more than 8. No. Why am I struggling with math here? 4, 20, 20, 20, 20. Yeah, 4. And then 1 from hand. 5 times 3 would be 150. So you're better off using the other attackers in Guardy anyway. But it is a basic, which is cool. But you're going to get more traction out of Drifloon anyway. If you're going to use a basic like that, you might as well just use the Drifloon, which for only 3 energy hits 180.
Okay.
Yeah, because you put 60 damage counters on it, or 60 damage, and it does 30 times each damage counter. So 3 times 6 is 180. Yeah, so you're better off using Drifloon.
Yeah.
Nummel, Hot Magma, 20 damage. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now burned.
Togedemaru, same
Togedemaru. Tadbulb, so this evolves into Bellybulb.
Okay.
Attach a basic lightning energy card from your discard pile to this Pokemon. LOL.
Mawile.
Is that the same one? Yeah, Mischievous Crunch. Alright, Sinistea. Also Yukamorii. Yukamorii, Sinistea. Always a pleasure.
Water energy.
Water energy. Metal energy.
Thundurus.
Thundurus. And Toxtricity.
Toxel.
Toxel. There we go. Slight Intrusion. 30 damage. Charcadet. Good. There are some very useful evolutions of Charcadet.
Pokemon League headquarters.
That's a good one.
So this is a stadium. Attacks used by each basic Pokemon in play, both yours and your opponent's, cost 1 colorless more.
Cleffa. Here's the baby. That's potentially useful. So, only 30 HP, but free retreat, no cost attack, grasping draw cards until you have 7 cards in your hand.
Diggersby. Mud Slap does 50, Knocking Hammer 120, discard the top card of your opponent's deck.
Armarouge. This is not the more useful Armarouge. The other one is better. That lets you move fire energy from one of your bench Pokemon to your active Pokemon. But this one's Scorching Armor. If this Pokemon is in the active spot and is damaged by an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, even if this Pokemon is knocked out, the attacking Pokemon is now burned.
Houndstone.
It does more damage for each of your Pokemon in the discard pile, right? Psychic Pokemon? No.
Too voracious. 80 plus. If your opponent has exactly 2 or 4 prize cards remaining, this attack does 120 more damage.
There must be a different Houndstone. And then I think Houndstone EX also does more damage for the number of psychic Pokemon you have in the discard pile. Dragonair.
Dugtrio.
Dugtrio, what's that one do?
Dig. 50 damage. Flip a coin. If heads, during your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage from and effects of attacks done to this Pokemon.
Nice. Pidgeotto. I think I need at least 1 Pidgeotto to set aside.
Yeah, I think,
because we do have a Pidgeotto.
Yeah, weren't you just saying you weren't sure if you had any Pidgeotto?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I had any Pidgeotto.
Well, now
so
we
now
do.
we have a Pidgeotto. Yes.
Fungus.
Togepi. Not a baby.
Yeah. Lechonk. A different one.
A different Lechonk, yes. A different Lechonk. The other Lechonk. Back-to-back Lechonks. So much Lechonking up in here. Carvana. Grievard.
And Baltoy. Ooh, that's a lot of text. Sorry.
Switch this Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. If you do, switch out your opponent's active Pokemon to the bench. Your opponent chooses the new active Pokemon. And Togedemaru. Well, that was fun. We got some useful trainers. We got some fun cards down here. We got a pretty Ninetales. And we really look forward to opening up more building battles when we play our at-home pre-release tournament in a few weeks. So that'll be fun. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Have fun. Play.